Look at her, everyone. Take a good, solid look at her. Ain't she a beauty? It's the sometimes vlog. I don't even know what that is. It's a vlog that happens sometimes, and sometimes it happens while we gaze into the wonderful beauty that is It's a Small World. I spent the bulk of my day fighting malware and viruses on my website, livefastdiepore.com, which hasn't been used in a long, long time, but it needed to be scrubbed and cleaned because all these people were saying, I'm getting all these reports that Google doesn't like your website because there's a malware on it, and I just think I'd better ask my father if I go on it first, which was probably a good idea. And then I got the little warning from my server, like, no, that's real. Your email might go down and everything if you don't. So I all day with the cleaning of the website. Anyway, I did a whole bunch of other stuff and errands and running all kinds of things. I know yesterday we were talking about errands. Well, because I was filming about the errands and talking about them, it turned out that today I had a lot more leftover errands left to do, but luckily they're done. So I came down to Disneyland to get some wonderful popcorn and take a look at this beauty right here. The only thing was, I probably should have got the popcorn last, because when I showed up, I had the popcorn in my hand. I couldn't go on any of the rides because I had the popcorn, and I was thinking, man, I'm not going to get on any of the rides. So I've just been staring out here. Wait a minute. I'm done with my popcorn. I have just enough time to squeeze in one ride. Which one should it be? Small World? Maybe, but I feel like I've already listened to this music way too much. Standing out here for 15 minutes. I know. My favorite ride. Come on. Gotta make it. Gotta hurry. Look at everybody getting fun pics in front of the castle. We should take a fun pic. There's no time for fun pics. Gotta make it. Gotta hurry. Oh, I was wrong. We totally made it. Where was I going again? Oh yeah, my favorite ride. Pirates of the Caribbean. Come on. Only a couple minutes left till close. We did it! We did it! We did it! We did it! Did it! Did it! We did it! We did it! We did it! Did it! We said it and then we made it. Say it is not. That's not good grammar. Don't repeat that. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Yo ho! Yo ho! It's time for me to be happy. Smells so good in here. They need a bit of persuasion. They need fire at will. This is my favorite character right here. The flautist. Why in the world would pirates bring a flute player with them all over? And why in the world would they need him to play a song so they could pull a guy back up out of a well? I'll never know. I just like it, okay?
Oh, strike your colors, you brazen wench. No need to expose your superstructure.
Hey, that's mean, Mr. Pirate.
Then again, what do you expect? He's a pirate. I used to be in this band. We had to split up because of creative differences. They wanted to keep playing the same place every night. I just couldn't do it.
Yo ho, yo ho,
Nova Grape? Or should I say, yo ho, yo ho? What a fun one. And now it's a fun done because everything is closed. All the stores and shops and even the cast members, hello, are closing. Actually, I don't know if they're not closing, but the place is closing down. And now everyone has to go home and sleep well. I'd like to remind everybody that as I'm filming this, it is Saturday. It looked like it was pretty insanely crowded and busy here earlier in the day. And now look, just at midnight, or just slightly after midnight, nobody's out here. Except for this creepy weirdo. No, not this guy. I'm talking about this. Look how weird. What's wrong with that angel baby's face? Remember that guy from 5 Weird Things in New Orleans Square? Again, I'm not talking about this guy. I'm talking about that little angel statue with the weird, like, I was buried under Mount Vesuvius, Pompeii action. face thing. I'm really tired, but I'm glad that I got my errands done today. And no, I'm not saying the word errand or errand, but errands. And also, I'm glad I got my chores done. And I'd like to put a positive spin on it, but I gotta tell you, no matter how old you are, doing your chores, while it's good to do them, super sucks. I know, boys and girls, it's not nice to use that word, but it's true. Nobody likes doing chores, but I'm just glad, A, that they're done, and B, while I was doing them, there actually kind of was a silver lining because I was able to stop and actually think. I was thinking a lot about friendships and how hard it is for me to make friends with people sometimes because I'm pretty gun shy, and like, I was thinking about all the people who have misinterpreted like me being busy or running around or being kind of gun shy about making friends, because I went through like a crazy divorce and all kinds of things like that, you know what I mean? And so once you go through a big thing where like you can't trust the people that you've trusted for years or decades of your life, it's really difficult for you to start opening back up and trusting people and bringing in people super, super close. It's a whole long process. And when you meet new people that don't know what you've been through, it can be a whole long ordeal because they don't really know. They're like, how come he's being so standoffish with me? He must be weird or not like me. Let me assure some of you out there, it's not that. It takes a long time to sort of get your trust back and stuff like that. So that was one of the things that I was pondering today and thinking about, and I realized that if I wasn't doing boring, mundane errands, I kind of wouldn't have had time to stop and think about that. Actually, there's a couple more things I would like to say on that subject, but it's getting really, really empty in Adventureland here and kind of spooky and creepy, so maybe we should leave the park first. But first, I have to say goodnight to a few of my friends. Good night, Walt. Good night, Mickey. Good night, Castle. Good night, Tiki. Good night, Bush. Good night, Mailbox. Good night, popcorn people.
Good night, sir.
Good night, Ducks. Ah! Good night, Trash Can. Good night, Tomorrowland. Good night, Poopgate. Good night, Horse. Good night, Maynard.
Ooh, time for you to be happy.
Pole. Good night, Main Street. Someone lost their bottle. Good night, Jimberly.
If it is a good night, which it is.
Good night, Walt's ghost. Maybe. Good night, Moon. Oh wait, the moon's gonna follow us home. Like some sort of beautiful, angelic creeper, kinda. Good night, Disneyland! Good night! All right, finally, it's done. Now, what was I talking about? You know it's done when the pressure washers start coming out in the parks and things start to be cleaned up. Everybody go home! We need to clean up! So you can come back tomorrow and enjoy the cleanliness and the freshness. One of the things I love about Disney actually is it's so clean. And I hear a lot of people who like come and have annual passes and they come too much a little bit and they always complain like, oh, this thing was dirty today. I'm gonna talk about it and get angry. But have you been to any other theme parks lately? I don't want to drop names of other theme parks, but you go to some other theme parks and then you come back to Disneyland here, you're like, oh, it's so clean. I'll eat off that ground. Oh yeah, now I remember what I was talking about. I was talking about friendships and not having them or having them or whatever. Well, recently, what it is I found out some people that I thought were my friends or that I made friends with not too long ago, found out that they were kind of bad-mouthing me. Not that they were saying that I had done anything bad or anything like that, just like saying bad stuff about me. You know, that stuff always gets back to the person you say it about, you know? And I was just thinking, what a bummer, because I started thinking like the stuff that I was hearing specifically was, oh, you know, Justin feels this way or thinks this and this about himself or whatever, and I was thinking, no, I heard this back, which you never know if it's true when it's coming back at you secondhand anyways, but I was thinking to myself, that's not at all that way. And I was thinking, isn't it too bad that you couldn't let somebody like jump in your head for a little while and prove that, like, you know, like, no, I never felt that way about you, or I never thought anything bad about you or whatever. And I was thinking like, that's kind of unfortunate that there isn't a way to do that, because once you have in your head this like thing against somebody, once you have in your head that someone's bad, it is almost impossible to get that out, because then forever when you look at that person, you're going to have something called a confirmation bias. I want you to Google this, confirmation bias, which means that forever afterwards when you look at something that you think is bad or someone that you think is bad, you're always going to be biased by that opinion of them and looking for confirmation of your pre-existing image or view of that person, right? And this is what happens. So you think somebody was a jerk to you, or you think they were rude or something. I think that person was rude. I think he's rude. You're going to interpret. Your brain is actually going to interpret everything that person does as rude. And I was thinking, it's too bad there's no way to, like, I mean, you can swear up and down and you can say anything you want, but when somebody has it in their head that you don't like them or something bad or whatever, it's really almost impossible to get rid of that. And it's just too bad that there isn't a way to show somebody your soul, you know, and say like, look it, I don't feel that way. I never felt that way. I don't know how you would have got that idea in your head. Like for me, for example, one of the things is always like, oh, Justin doesn't, you know, he doesn't hang out, or he doesn't do this, or doesn't do the other thing. And people forget that off camera, I have a kid, I spend my time with my kid, I have a family, and I have other responsibilities and different things like that. And not only that, but that I've been through, you know, horrible, traumatic things, losing friends and losing a spouse and losing all kinds of things where it's really tough for me to like open up and make new friends right away. And sometimes when I meet people, I like hang out for a minute or hang out for like a week or two, and then I'm like, okay, like getting too close to this person, I need a little space, you know, and it's like a process. It's gonna take me personally with my deal, it's gonna take a long time for that to kind of heal and go away, where I trust people again. What it is I try really hard, me personally, now I'm just going out on a tangent here, but it's fine. I go out of my way, I really do, to trust people, and I will do almost anything usually to prove to these people like that someone I like look at, you know, I'm a good guy, I like to hang out and do stuff and whatever. And what I find lately about myself is at first I didn't want to trust anybody, but now I do start to trust people, and I do start to open up. And if they do anything mean to me, you know, like I immediately like close up, or if they do anything weird, or if they think that I'm weird, I close up and all this stuff. Anyway, I was thinking, isn't it too bad there's not a way to see inside of a person like that and understand? And then I started thinking about different people that I've gotten upset with or angry at, that it's like, you don't always know somebody's motivation. You take your best guess at somebody's motivation when they do something that you don't like and you get angry at them. It just made me decide today that I want to be even more merciful, I guess is the only word I can think of, towards other people. Like when I do get frustrated and mad at them, like even if you don't like somebody, because you don't have to like anyone, I guess, but just to try to remember that when they snap at you or they do something negative towards you or they think something negative about you, that it says more about where they're at than how they really feel about you, because it comes from your own head. Everything in this world is interpretation. Your eyes, ears, nose, mouth, these are all your senses putting information into your brain, that your brain, through your life experience, through all the sum total of your life experience, the way your parents treated you, the way your friends treated you, the things that you learn on your own, all of that up here interprets the raw data coming in your senses and makes sense of it. So I always try to think about like the other person's side of things, like, well, maybe they aren't like a jerk, maybe they just have this other way of looking at it that I don't understand, maybe something really bad happened to them or whatever. But just today kind of reaffirmed it, because I heard these people were like talking smack basically, and I was like, I don't even want to respond to that. It kind of made me honestly just really sad, because I was like, well, that sucks, like that's absolutely not true. There's nothing I can do to convince these specific people in this specific situation. But I was just thinking, like, the only thing I can do with this, as bummed out as I am about it, is to like go forward in my own life and try to be more understanding towards the next person that ticks me off. You know what I mean? Okay, I'm ready to get away from the sound of these pressure washers. Like, do you ever have friends who are dating, like a couple or something like that, and they break up, and it's really not that bad, they're still kind of friends at first, but then over time, as the breakup goes along, it gets like worse and worse, and the stories are worse and worse, and like that person was completely rude the entire time, and like over time, like, do you know what I'm talking about? I think friendships get like that too sometimes, because I've definitely heard people where I've worked with them and we were totally cool and everything, but it's like, oh, you go your separate way and I'll go my separate way, and that kind of thing. Like, I'm talking about in bands mostly. You get this a lot in bands, believe me, where it's like, oh, you know, you're guitar playing, yeah, I want to be in more of a metal band, you guys want to be more of a prog rock thing, so we're gonna go our separate ways. And then you see each other a week later and it's all cool, and you see each other like 2 months later and it's all awkward and weird, and then you find out that Timmy's been telling everybody that you were the worst guitar player ever. You know what I'm saying? Like, for me, when I started these YouTube videos, I had been in bands for years and years and years, and one of the biggest things about being in a punk band, I've talked about this before, is how cynical everything is. Super cynical, super negative, super have to be sarcastic or extreme about everything, lots of swear words, lots of cuss words. And I would watch my own son, my little son, we would be like watching YouTube, or we'd do different things, and I would be doing different skits or whatever with my band. I was like, oh man, I don't want to take him to these punk rock shows that I'm playing. I don't want, it's not even because of the music necessarily, or even the lyrical content. I didn't want him to come to those shows because I knew some of the people that he would encounter and their attitudes and the things that they would talk about in front of him, and also the things that people would talk about on stage between the songs. Like, it wasn't appropriate. Like, I just didn't want him to hear not what they were talking about, or not hear their opinions or anything, but really to hear the cynicism about the world, about how life is, and life sucks and then you die, and this kind of attitude. I'm way oversimplifying, but just for the sake of, you know, making a point, I guess, any kind of point that I'm trying to make. And I really just didn't want him to hear any of that stuff. When I started doing videos, at first mine were even like way more sarcastic and cynical than I really thought they were going to be at first. So they were coming out, I started doing skits and different stuff where I wasn't even the one on camera. And it's really my friend Adam who was like, dude, you and I are like very similar and we're like friends and you should be in front of the camera. I'm in front of the camera, people seem to like you, you should be in front of the camera. He really pushed me to doing this. I'll never be able to thank him enough. And the first decision I made, especially coming to Disneyland, was I'm not going to be cynical and I'm not going to be negative about it. I could point out that, look, there's a stain. Someone spilled their coffee and the floor is sticky. Or I could point out like, oh, look at the way that this gum wrapper's on the ground. That's not what Walt would have wanted. Or I could point out like, look at the way they changed this attraction or that thing. Because I've been here enough to do that, but I don't want to do that. I made that decision right from the beginning. I'm not going to focus on, I'm not going to censor myself either, but I'm not going to focus on the things that I dislike. Why would I put that into the world? I've done that enough in my life in bands or different things. Not that there's anything wrong with it. That's just not going to be my style with this. And when I started the vlogs too, I decided that I would open myself up and talk about my personal life and talk about my struggles and different things and my thoughts a little bit, but that I wasn't going to sit here and dwell on anything negative. I'm not going to be doing vlogs about how palm trees suck and here are 15 reasons why or whatever. Having said that, there's nothing wrong with other people doing that. They can do whatever they want to do. For me personally, I think if you see hate and negativity in the world and you respond with more hate and negativity, you're just being part of the problem. Let's say that there are people who hate this bush and they're gonna cut down this bush, and then all I do is hate on them. Then all I'm doing is adding more hate to the world. And that's just the way I see it. It doesn't mean that my way is the right way. It doesn't mean that I'm right. Maybe there are people who need to champion different causes, whether that cause be that wearing the color purple sucks or whatever it is. I don't know. It's just not my goal. It's not my mission. And so since I've been doing these videos, I'm meeting all kinds of other creative people and people who do videos and stuff like that. And so I have the thing where I'm kind of gun shy about making friends and stuff like that. But on top of that, I have my own mission and my own sense of like what I'm trying to accomplish and what I'm trying to do and keeping things family friendly. And that has caused, honestly, more problems between me and other people, I think, than anything else. Not more problems, but more miscommunication. That I've worked with some people who are like, oh, that's not really my direction. I want to go a different direction. I feel like that, you know, cuts me off or whatever. And honestly, as much of a bummer as it is to be like, oh man, we're not going to work together anymore, at the same time, like, it really shouldn't be that big of a deal, you would think. Just because we're not on the same mission doesn't necessarily mean that I'm against you, right? You would think. But in life, it doesn't really get any different than junior high when you're older. Sometimes people take that and say, well, if you're not on my mission and we can't make our missions compatible, then you must be against me. And then go out and the story changes and it becomes all like, well, this person doesn't like me and that person doesn't like me and I feel like this person looks at me sideways, and then there becomes all kinds of bad mouthing, and then people kind of bad mouth each other to each other, and they build up these like weird little things and you see each other and it's kind of awkward and you know that's what it is, but nobody can call anybody or anything. It's just weird. And I've tried my entire life to avoid situations like that. Let me tell you, being in a band for 15 years in the same scene with a lot of the same people over and over and over again, which is part of the reason I don't talk to a lot of those people anymore, because I tried to make as clean of a break as I could from like all the different cynical people that I had known and negative people that I had known. Not that they were bad, just that I wanted to be on a new path. I wanted to be on a new thing from that. So getting back into that cycle of people who are like, oh, this and this and the other thing is like really kind of a bummer. And you know, I come to certain places over and over again a lot. I'll meet a lot of people who are into the same things a lot. And now that I'm doing YouTube and other different creative things, I'll meet people who are involved with YouTube and different stuff. And so I find that I'm running into a lot of like cliquishness and a lot of different cliques, not just at different theme parks and stuff, but like just in general, like with YouTube, with Twitter, with social media or whatever. People who are in various clubs and various things and all this kind of thing. And it's not that I'm anti any tribe, it's that I just don't want to be a part of one. And that's the thing, is like I just want to do me. I was locked into so many different kinds of things where, like I said, in the same band, in the same scene forever and ever again, like for on and on and on, you meet the same people over and over and over again. You get the same drama, you get caught up with other people's drama. And then of course, obviously, I went through a nasty divorce and all kinds of different things like that's where it's like, man, I just want a clean break from getting stuck in the cliques and the drama. So me personally, especially because I try to keep things clean and stuff like that, and for the most part, a lot of people use a lot of swear words in their content and different things. I've tried to stay really, really, really separate on my own. And it's not because I want to disrespect anybody else or anybody else's content or anybody else's mission or anything like that. Because honestly, if I was super anti something, I would come out and tell the person that I was super anti it. I wouldn't just be like, well, yeah, let's make it awkward and weird. But unfortunately, it still has a way of coming around where someone's like, that person didn't want to be in my vlog, so he must hate me, or that person doesn't want me to be in their vlog, or they must hate me and stuff. And I'm finding that, like, I guess it's human nature, because no matter how hard you try to escape, like the cliques or getting locked into a clique or whatever it is, like people will take things offensively. And anyway, just long story short, I was thinking, isn't it too bad, like, if people would understand that about me, some people who were my friends that you would think really would understand, I don't think they would be as mad. They wouldn't be as weirded out. Like, why doesn't Justin want to be in my video? Well, you're making videos about people that are nude and saying a lot of swear words and talking about drinking and doing drugs, which I don't do, and all this different stuff. Of course I don't want to be in your video. And I'll say, it's because of this, this, and this. And then the people will get offended. Are you bad-mouthing my lifestyle, bro? Are you bad-mouthing me? No, not at all. You can make your own choices. You make your own choices every day. I make my own choices every day. It's just that I'm on a different path and doing a different thing. It's just unfortunate sometimes that people can't be very understanding. Anyway, I suppose I could get cranky and grumpy about that myself and let that make me one of those people who's even more like, well, screw that person and do all this stuff. Because we all have a tendency to do that. Like, if we think someone's being weird towards us, then we get all mad and weird and stuff. But I've been thinking about it a lot lately, and I just don't care. I just don't care enough to get sucked into other people's drama. And the more that you let yourself even hate somebody or like get angry back at them, the more that you're just sucked into their thing. And even if that person's a great person or they're a bad person, it's really no different. You're still getting sucked into the drama of it. You're getting anxiety about, oh no, this person doesn't like me, or they're saying this and this about me. And in the end, it doesn't matter. What really honestly matters is when you lay down in bed at night, and I'm talking to myself here, like, did you do the best job that you could? Were you as merciful, as forgiving, as kind to other people as you could have been? And that is what I'm going to focus on, is I'm going to try really hard that even though this kind of stuff has been happening a lot more lately, to just like, let it roll off my back and just make that be a thing where I remember, okay, the next time that I'm annoyed with somebody, I'm going to try to be a little bit more merciful in my own attitude and my own thought patterns towards them. You know what I'm saying? Oh, and if you're asking yourself right now, is he just going to keep going on like this for the rest of the video? Yes, for the rest of the video I am. So if you want to just skip the long talk, by all means. The other thing too is, and I know this is going to sound kind of corny and kind of weird, but bear with me here, is that there are a lot more of you now than there used to be. And I really, really like you guys, and I really like doing this stuff. I like doing the vlogs and inviting you guys into my life and to do stuff together and have adventures and doing whatever. Not just the random videos, but the things where you're involved in my personal life. That's really what a vlog is, or it's what's kind of supposed to be, right? And I really like that. But the sad reality of the fact is that the more of you that there have been, the more there are other people who are like, I want to do that, who get angry with me just because there are a lot of you now, which I can't help that. I can't help when that happens. All I can do is do the best job I can. But at the same time, it's like, okay, there's a little bit of jealousy sometimes and stuff like that going on with certain people, and I can understand then. It's so awkward and weird even to deal with that. But at the same time, there's also, for me personally, this is the part that's going to sound cheesy, there's a bigger sense of responsibility in that I've at least tried, dude, full disclosure, like, which this has been no secret ever, like, of course I've used some foul language in my time. Of course I like a raunchy joke and a good sarcasm festival every once in a while. I vent like everybody else vents behind the scenes in my own house or whatever, or I'll call up a friend and just really unload sometimes when I'm upset, because that's healthy. It's good for you to vent and unload and unwind. But what I always try to do is, what I put out into the world, what I put out to other people, is I want my best foot forward, the most positive thing I can put out there. And there's been this group of people who have come along for the adventure that I feel like I have a certain responsibility to in a certain way. Like, it's not my I'm not responsible for anybody's happiness or anything like that, but I feel like I have a responsibility that if people have invested so much of their time with me, if people have responded to the fact that I've tried to be positive and put out positive content and be happy and do happy, fun things for the most part, that I have a responsibility to keep going and to keep what I post or what I deliver to those people in that same category. So there have been people who are like, hey man, will you like repost my videos or will you do whatever and whatever? And I'm like, no, I really won't do that. And they get really upset with me, and then that has caused drama for me, which is a thing that you wouldn't even, when would this even happen in normal life, you know? But the thing is that when I was in a band, I would flyer up everybody. Everybody would flyer up everybody. We would print flyers for shows or do whatever, and we would hand them out and deliver them to people. Here you go, come to the show, and go stand on the side of the road, come to the show, come to the show. And that used to kind of work. And then MySpace came along. I know this is kind of long-winded, but bear with me. MySpace came along, and everybody was like constantly spamming, adding friends and doing all this stuff. Come to our shows, please come to our shows, do this, please, just come to our show. Just constant spam, to the point where I watched everybody I knew that was super into bands, really like going to shows, like seeing bands play, all got really like, ugh, bands, another guy in a band, I don't want to go to this guy's show, I don't know, get away from here. Oh, of course you're in a band. Oh, and you got a show I bet you want me to go to. You got a CD, or you got a song you want me to listen to, right? You guys know what you know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about. So I really did not want to be like that with the YouTube thing. I started a few years ago. I didn't start at the beginning or anything like that, but I started a few years ago. It's definitely bigger now than when I started. When I started, I had my friend Adam in front of me and one or two other people that I knew in front of me that were doing a few YouTube videos. And so it really wasn't like it is now, where like every time you see someone with the camera, like they're vlogging. Nobody knew what the heck I was doing at first. So it's definitely, you all know, it's gotten bigger over the past couple of years or whatever. So I didn't run into this problem at first, but I decided it's not gonna be like the band. I'm gonna make something, and if people like it, then people like it. So I've never gone onto like DisneyFanForum.com or whatever and been like spam up, like, did you see my video about the Matterhorn, or did you see my video about the People Mover, or whatever it is? And I've never gone into like my friends' Facebook profiles and be like, bro, repost this vlog to all your followers, or whatever it is. I've always been like, I'm just gonna do me, I'm gonna do this. And if other people like it, then it's just like what I put at the end of the Random Land videos. If you like this, you know, please go ahead and share it. There's nothing wrong with sharing it. I don't think there'd even be anything wrong with me self-promoting or anything like that. It's just that I chose to take a different path. I would rather let the gifts go before the man, as the ancient saying goes. And just, if I'm doing something good, or I'm doing something positive, or people are entertained by me in any way, then they can voluntarily share it to other people and say, hey, look, there's this guy, whatever. And it's the same thing like with Patreon. Like I have the Patreon thing where people can give me $1 a month, and they say, oh, you're funny, I'll give you $1 a month because I support what you do, or whatever. I don't offer any rewards. I don't say, hey, if you give $25 a month, I'll give you a t-shirt, or if you do $5 a month, I'll give you a button. I don't do that. And the reason that I don't do that is because I want to stay focused on doing what it is that I do, which some people don't understand, some people do. And the people who want to help with that or support with that, or go, you know what, that's worth money to me, can voluntarily do it. And the people who want to share what I do with other people can voluntarily do it, which means, for those of you who don't know what voluntary means, that they do it by choice. It's completely a choice. I really think there's this guy that you would enjoy, so I'm going to share his video to you. And I really like that, because what that's done is that I've been way less maybe popular, or videos have gotten way less views or clicks than they could have in other ways, but it kind of worked in the sense that all of you guys, all the people that I have met, all of my friends on the internet, all of these people are all kind of like-minded, really cool people. Everybody's got this nickname. There's a Facebook group called Random Land Forever. If you're not in it, go join it. I'm not a part of it. It's a group where I got put together for people who all watch the vlogs and different stuff, or leave comments on social media, can kind of meet each other and talk about different stuff. And I'm not there being the center of attention, and it's not about me. It's about you guys meeting each other. And people in that group started calling it the Sometimes Mob, and on Periscope, it's the Sometimes Mob. And the cool thing about all of you guys, the cool thing about the Sometimes Mob, is that there's all these like-minded people who found it by word of mouth, or by randomly clicking on it and decided they liked it and shared it to a few friends. And so it's like kind of like a kindred spirit thing going on, to borrow from Anne of Avonlea. And it's a lot of people we're all doing Pollyanna. The quest for positivity is a lot like the Glad game from Pollyanna, trying to see the good in the world, trying to be positive. Listen, I know that life sucks. I know that there's a lot of hate in the world. I know that there's a lot of social injustices and things that are wrong. I've been very hungry and not had money. I know that there's evil in the world. I'm not ignorant to that fact, but I don't consider it my job to harp on those things. I consider it my job to come home and give people something to distract themselves with at the end of the day from it. Because there's a lot of stress that comes along with the bad things in the world and with dealing with them. And sometimes, honestly, as silly as it is, sometimes the most important thing at the end of the day is the stupid kitten video on YouTube that makes somebody relax and laugh and have a good time, and it's something that they enjoy. That maybe somebody else hates kittens, but actually, who hates kittens? But maybe it's something that somebody else doesn't understand, and it gets that person through the day, and it gets them through their week, and they can feed their family, and they can do their job. So I consider my job to be something like that. You know what I'm saying? Not to go out and talk about how much we should hate so-and-so, or how so-and-so did something wrong. Lord knows, I do a lot of things that are wrong. I don't know all the right words. I'm not always super politically correct. I make a lot of mistakes, so I just don't see myself as in a pulpit position, poking fingers and saying, this is what's right with the world, and this is what's wrong, and here's how we're going to change it. That's just not my deal. Anyway, I decided that when I did these videos, I wasn't going to do like the band thing. I did not want to be Mr. Spam-A-Lot. If people invested their time in me and followed me and shared it to their friends, why is the car on? And shared it with their friends and have come along on this journey so far and whatever, then I feel like I have a certain responsibility. I guess I could spam up my feed with whatever all the time and people could just leave if they wanted to, that kind of thing. But I feel like I have a certain responsibility to really only put things that I am 100% behind out into the world. So my Instagram, let's say, if there's, sure, so a friend of mine will say, you have 10,000 people following you on Instagram. Would you please post my band's, this has happened actually, would you please post my band's flyer for their show on your Instagram account? That way all of your people will see it and they'll come to my show. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. And the reason is because none of these people are here with me because they wanted to see a band. Furthermore, a lot of these people are here because of family-friendly things or different reasons, and your band happens to be playing in a bar, and all of your lyrics are about how zombie murder, I don't know, just whatever it is, and it just wouldn't be the right fit. Now, a lot of my friends understand this. They're like, you know what, you're right, my thing is different than your thing, and whatever. But some of them just really, they just feel like you have a cake and you're not sharing it. Come on, bro, you're not sharing the cake, you're not giving me the repost and the things. But to me, I'm going, let's say I took a picture of vomit, a big steaming pile of vomit, and posted it on my Instagram. I feel like most of the people who follow me on Instagram will be like, okay, why did you post the picture of vomit? Not really why I follow you, but I like you, Justin, you're okay. I guess I'll forgive the one-time vomit. But if I started constantly posting vomit, I feel like a lot of people would be like, this isn't what we signed up for, goodbye. And then, you know what I mean? So I feel like I have a certain responsibility to you guys, to the Sometimes mob, to the people who've dedicated their time and their energy to me, just as much as I've dedicated my time and energy to them, to not spam them up. And so that's why I don't do that a lot. I don't go around the internet asking too many strangers in too many ways to do it. There's been rare exceptions, like when I did the Star Wars filming location, I think, maybe Utmost and Tyler or a couple, I can't remember who, but somebody was posting it around like, oh, check this out if you guys are interested, to people who might be very interested in it. But for the most part, I have always been like, let's not spam it up, let's try and do things different. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with it if I did do it or if other people do it. That's just not my strategy. But other people sometimes just don't understand that and they get a little frustrated with me. Well, that was kind of a tangent, I guess. But the whole long story short is that yes, even I, have got stresses and problems when it comes to people like that. And I just really wish that there was a way everybody could get along and be happy. I was trying to think if there's anybody that I really hate in the world. Anybody I really have a grudge against and really want to get them. And there's nobody. There's nobody that I want to destroy in the world. Literally nobody, which is kind of a good feeling. Because obviously going through a nasty divorce and going through some of the things I've been through in this life, there have been some times where I have just had hate, and anger and stuff towards people and bitterness. And I'm happy to say that at the moment, I really don't feel that way about anybody. There's nobody in the world that I would want to waste my energy destroying or anything like that. I don't hate anybody. There are plenty of people that I disagree with. There are plenty of people that I'm really disappointed in. For one thing, I know that after all the stuff that I went through in my life, that I have a very short, not fuse, but I have a very short amount of patience for people who can't apologize or be sensitive. When you go to somebody and you say, when I go to somebody and I say, hey, you've legitimately hurt my feelings, because it's really hard not to be a bitter, cynical person after you've been through trauma or something really negative. And I've tried really hard, just sharing my own personal thing. I've tried really hard to stay not that way, right? To be open-hearted and whatever, especially with my friends, especially with anybody that I let in real life. So if I tell somebody, hey, you really hurt my feelings, you really made me upset, this thing you did really makes me uncomfortable, and they do the thing where they're like, whatever, man, get over it. Whatever, grit a thicker skin or whatever. I'm not talking about strangers. I'm not talking about trolls. I'm not talking about anything like that. I'm talking about somebody that you know in real life that's supposedly your friend, and you go, dude, no, legitimately, you hurt my feelings. That was something that was subject to interpretation. That was some sarcastic joke, but there's a pattern of whatever, and they're just, whatever, man, I'm just kidding. You know what I'm talking about when that happens? I have a very low tolerance for that, only because I think, this is stuff I was thinking about today. I was thinking about, why is that? Why am I so touchy about that? That I feel like if people aren't open-hearted back to me, I just don't want to invest a lot of their time in that. I think that has something to do with going through, getting cheated on and having bad, things like that happening to you. It makes you more in your life, you have a lower tolerance for people that are going to do that to you. When you open your heart to them, you want them to open it a little bit back up, enough where you can be like, hey, man, you really hurt my feelings. And the other person at least goes, oh, well, I really didn't mean to, man. I'm really sorry that your feelings are hurt. Let me explain what I actually meant was da-da-da. You know what I mean? And I feel like those are the kind of people that I want in my life. Those are the kind of people that I want to be friends with, are the people that can be like that back to me. Those are the kind of people that I want to spend my time around. And unfortunately, I think it's really hard for most people to be that way, because most people, when they get their feelings hurt, just get angry at the person whose feelings are hurt, because they don't know what to do with it or whatever. Nobody wants to be wrong or whatever. So that's a whole tangled mess. Anyway, I know that's kind of a long-winded rant that goes nowhere, and I'm really, honestly, not trying to just complain. It's just those were the things I was thinking about today, where I was just really wishing there was some kind of way to open up your brain, let people take a little tour in there and go, see, look, there's no hate. I might not always agree with you. I might not want to do the same things that you are doing, but there is a reason that I am the way that I am. I do the things I do. I say the things that I say. There is a reason I don't want to repost your thing. There is a reason why I don't want to hang out with you sometimes over here, because I'm gun shy, or things have happened to me in my life where, it takes me a while to make friends or really trust people all the way. I need my own time and space, my own way into it, that kind of thing. Some of these things are really hard to explain to people on the quick, especially when they're upset, and I'm particularly bad at that. When other people are upset with me, or when I'm upset or frustrated or stressed or anxious in any way, I tend to get louder and get kind of freeze up like a deer in the headlights and go, people think I'm mad, and I'm not even mad. I'm just, oh no, in my head I'm thinking, oh no, this is all coming apart, well, the car turned off. Anyway, it can be tough. Just wish there was a shorthand way. What are some of the ways that you deal with that? Do you deal with this? Do you deal with this negativity with other people? Because it's not really that different. I mean, yes, my job is YouTube and YouTube accessories at times, but I don't really think it's that different, because I used to have an office job and it'd be the same thing. Like, dude, you left the thing up on the printer the other day. I got yelled at for it and blah, 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 and you're always doing this stuff to me, man. I swear to you, man, I did not leave the printer thing up on purpose to get you in trouble. I am really sorry that you got in trouble. It's totally my bad. I will go explain to the boss that I left the printer thing like the thing. I don't want you to take the fall for it. But I definitely didn't do it on purpose. You know what I mean? This stuff just happens. And I guess, no matter how old you get, it's going to keep coming at you. And no matter what, it's still going to suck. But like I said, I'm just trying to go, okay, well, I can't do anything about it. I can't change anybody's mind who really dislikes me. You can't do it. They have to change their own mind for themselves. All you can do is do the best job you can. So I'm just choosing my Quest for Positivity moment of the week, as I was thinking about this today, because there's been a lot of stuff lately that's just been irritating me. I will get irritated and go, why does that person not like me, or whatever. Is I'm going to try to decide, I'm going to do my best So I'm not perfect, believe me. I'm going to do my best to start taking that and just making that be a lesson to myself that, like, look at these people that completely misunderstand me and take stuff out on me that, like, I really, like, no, I didn't mean to disrespect you or to put you down or do anything like that. Or, you know what I mean? Just to take that for myself and say, all right, I'm going to have a little bit more compassion and a little bit more empathy for other people around me. I honestly think the real marker, the difference between a good person and a bad person, is, do you try to empathize with people? Empathy doesn't come naturally to everybody. It's very difficult for some people to have any empathy. But to really put yourself in somebody else's shoes and try to open up your mind and go, maybe they're dealing with something I have no idea about. You know, that whole thing. You don't know what battle somebody else is fighting. Trying to be a little bit more open-minded. And even though I already try to be, I realize, like, I'm not perfect. I do the same stuff that I'm annoyed with other people about. I got 4 fingers pointing back at me. I do the same thing. I get annoyed with people from time to time too. And there's plenty of people I'm like, I don't like that guy. I don't like the cut of his jib. And then lately I've just been thinking, like, all right, I don't have to like the cut of his jib, but at the same time, I could at least try and have some compassion. I don't have to get angry all the time just because he's got his jib in my face. Can you just, instead of being like, your jib sucks, I can be like, can you just please, there's a jib-free zone near my face. What is a jib? All right, I've actually talked for too long. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for watching all of this and all the other crazy stuff we've been doing lately. I love you all. I really, really appreciate you guys. LiveFastFlyPoor.com. The website should be coming back up. It had like a malware thing on it. So Google, for some people saying like, oh, there's a malware thing, be careful. Don't worry, I completely deleted the whole website and had to completely start over from scratch and all that stuff. So it should be back online now. LiveFastFlyPoor.com. None of that is affected. I am really looking forward to next week's Fun Pick Friday thing. So if you haven't heard, that whole thing is just take any picture of me and put yourselves in it if you can, or just do whatever you want. Just maximum creativity this time. No guidelines. Just go crazy. Have fun. That's it. I've talked too long. This vlog has gone on for too long. But just by watching it.
You've done your duty. Now you too can go home and sleep well.